Hey guys, this is VaulSC. Hope that you're doing well. I'm just going to take you through my first game at the Intelcom ITS tournament that happened last weekend. I was running my combined army. If you haven't watched my previous video outlining the lists that I was running for the weekend, please do that because that gives you a rundown of the list that I'll be using for this game, which happened to be the Avatar list, of course, very strong list. And round one coming up against my buddy Matt from Auckland, who I've played many times before. He's featured on the channel many times with his Ariadna, sometimes TAC, sometimes Caledonia, sometimes Vanilla. And of course, with the new Kosmoflot sectorial coming out, he's giving them a go. I am not the best person to give you guys really insightful analysis of Kosmoflot because I haven't had the time to sit down and study them and understand them. He's played a lot of practice games with them though, so he's more of a Kosmoflot expert. For the game, I can't remember the exact list that he ran. I don't think he sent me an army code afterwards. So what I'm showing you on screen right now is just some examples of the units that I think that he was running. I do know that he had the Unknown Ranger data tracker in his list. I'm pretty sure he had a Fireteam Core of the Rocket since the cheap line infantry for Kosmoflot. There was at least one SAS Fort Observer, maybe two. He had some Myrmidinos in there and Varangian Guards. And I think that it was a Harris of Frontovix that he was running as well. But although it was a pretty robust 15 model kind of list, or close to that, I honestly can't remember what profiles were in there, so I'm sorry about that. Kosmoflot, can't comment on them, as I said. They don't look like a super strong sectorial, and the reason I say that is that even though they've got some nice looking things and some fancy things in them, this is an environment where, you know, the top dogs are, you know, Varuna with the cutter and the Camo sniper, Vanilla Pano with Joan and Yotam and cutter and Tikbalang, models like that. The Avatar list, obviously, the new Norkius Hotness. And then you've got Nomads with all of their really good hacking and Yuching with their profile buffs. So Kosmoflot doesn't strike me as one of the better sectorials at all, but they are at least new. My opponent did talk to me about the new Bear Pod. He had the Polaris Bear Pod in his other list. Unfortunately, I didn't get to see it in action because he didn't run it against me, but he had been telling me some stories about how well it had done. Looking at the profile right here, in fact, I'll just move my cam so we can all see it on screen here. It's in some ways a better version of McMurray because it's got 2 wounds and dogged, and then of course there's the shotgun, the grenades, all the kind of things you'd normally want. Berserk. I think the only thing that it doesn't have that McMurray has is Super Jump, but Super Jump's a little bit weaker now. So yeah, definitely to me looks like a better version of McMurray as far as I can see. McMurray maybe has a couple of advantages here and there. I guess one difference is that this is Armor 5, BTS 0, so with the total immunity changes, there'll be some guns which you'll have to use your BTS against, but I'd rather have the Armor 5 there, to be honest. Don't know about you guys. So it's a shame we didn't get to see that in action, but let's go to the game now. As I said, running the Avatar list for this. Now, one recurring theme for the entire weekend, and I've been whining about this and won't stop whining about it, is that the tables are laid out by people who don't really understand Infinity well enough for my liking. Let me see if I can get a pen out. Draw. Okay. So I'm deployed over here. I'm taking the first turn. The mission is Unmasking, so you can see out in the midfield there are some HVTs. My opponent's on the other side. And please note that there is a lot of line of sight, like this entire little alleyway there. You can see from deployment zone to deployment zone, right through here. Obviously, deployment zone to deployment zone, right through there, right through here. Right through that angle over there, right through here. This tower basically sees just about all of the table except for things obscured by the middle. You could put something on top of that. And the deployment zones are kind of sparse. So, yeah, I don't know what you guys think of tables like this. This was actually not one of the worst tables at the event. The one behind him in the picture there, we'll come to that another time. But to me, I'd rather play a game of Infinity that had more terrain on the table, because with this kind of setup, you're more likely to be in situations where your opponent can deploy something strong as an ARO piece without having to fear your army so much if it happens to be like Knight of Justice Missile Launcher and Link Team, or your Noctifer Cutter, High Dow Sniper and Link Team, Camel Sniper, Avatar, that kind of thing. And it kind of forces you just to pick your best tool to engage it, and it comes down to a bit of a war of attrition to see who rolls better. I'd much prefer that Games of Infinity had more to do with position and deployment and timing. The other thing as well is that there aren't any really good places to put your HVTs. You have to deploy them way out in the midfield because of unmasking. All of the objectives are kind of out in the open as well, so you can cover them easily with your snipers and Noctifers and aforementioned link teams. I don't really like that kind of Infinity. You guys have played in my TTS tournaments as well, a lot of you, and for those of you who complain about my tables being too open, you know, imagine how I feel about these ones, playing in a different city in my country where it's just, you know, an open shooting gallery. So bear in mind that's how I'm feeling about it. Coming back to the draw tool, I'm deploying first. Ardrone on the right-hand flank, Echadron over here, prone behind the little wall. This is my Caliban engineer because I know that my avatar is going to be camped out around one of these sort of areas, so I want to be able to revive him. Liberto up in the midfield, just camping a mine, and the Liberto himself on either side of my actual real HVT. Then I've got the Noctifer just hanging out, not in hidden deployment because I want him to be able to provide an extra order. Shrouded Forward Observer back over here, and then a couple more of my HVTs hanging out in the midfield, and of course Avatar himself and Kodali and Speculo held back. So that's another photo of the midfield. You can see a couple of my HVTs on the left. This is the Shrouder we mentioned, and the Liberto right on the other side of this little HVT in the middle there. A look at the back line, I have landed a Imatron behind the building, and of course the Noctifer standing up on top. And then that's another photo of the right-hand side that we just previously talked about. Another more of an overview picture. What happened here is I actually decided to redeploy the models a little bit when I realized that Liberto didn't actually have enough distance to deploy all the way out here, so the Liberto's further back here. That's the mine. I'll just grab the pen again. So the mine's actually here, Liberto's actually over here, and I brought my Shrouded back to this location. We still have the Caliban, so I decided to retake the photos after realizing that I was better off in those positions. Now, again, I'm sorry about this. My opponent has deployed a bunch of stuff. I think that these guys here are like a Harris of Frontovix. I think that one's the sniper standing up over there. And this is like either an Umandino or a Varangian Guard or one of those Rockets. I think this guy down here is a Varangian Guard. The Unknown Ranger is underneath this building over here. He's going to be the data tracker, and then we have a fire team core over here. I think the Unknown Ranger is, yeah, because he's a wild card. I believe he is linked in with a bunch of Rockets. So you've got a bunch of Rockets there. This guy here has some kind of heavy weapon. I think he's a guy that's been added to the team somehow. Let me just check Rockets. Kazakh Doctors can be part of them, so I think there's a Kazakh Doctor in there. But that particular rocket might be like an AP Marksman rifle or some kind of heavy weapon. Not 100% sure. Sorry about that, guys, but this does actually turn out to be a one-sided game where they all just basically die regardless because of Kodali. SAS Trooper on the building, and then there's a Normandino or a Varangian Guard back behind here. My reserve trooper is, of course, the Speculo Killer, planning on just basically setting up Kodali smoke. We know how that's going to go. You can see these markers here, which are his HVTs. And there's another one. I think this is reserve trooper. It's just another SAS trooper right in front of this crowd. Avatar going down, very easy for the Avatar to get cover with the new cover rules, so just hang it back over here, and he's just setting up to shoot at the Frontovix sniper or whatever it is in the distance. And we have a roll for the Omandino, picks up +4 armor, quite helpful. Now, so first order of the game, I've got my Speculo over here, just poking around the corner a little bit, and then dropping the smoke so that we have a radius touching that part of the wall and over here. He does get a free dodge now because he's in zone of control activation, but chooses not to take it. Smoke does go down successfully. So of course, Kodali shows up immediately on the board edge, and I think we know what's going to happen here. Every time she moves to within zone of control of an enemy model, they will get to dodge. They'll be able to move up to 2 inches, perhaps more depending on their rules if they pass, but it'll be face-to-face with Kodali's assault pistols at point blank, so very oppressive ability. Here she is now moving through, basically gunning down the Urmandino despite his +4 armor extremely easily. Then she moves to the edge of the smoke. The SAS trooper not opting to reveal. Sadly, this model here can't delay. In the previous incarnation of Infinity, you were able to basically just suspend your ARO and then shoot at Kodali, giving you a chance of surviving because you can shoot back through smoke. But no, BS-14 effectively just going to 5 dice into that guy. Nobody else can really respond. Chooses not to try and dodge into combat with that model because he'd just get shot instead. If that had happened, Kodali just directs all 5 of her shots into him and just saves him for the next order. So easily rips them up. And then, of course, what she can do is just discover this guy. Sorry about the blurry photo, my friends. And just kills him as well. Just, tallying up the corpses at this point. She's able to fire her combi rifle at this guy now that he's weakened with the loss of this Link Team member. That does destroy the Link Team. Makes that pretty easy. And for them to shoot back through smoke, it becomes almost impossible to hit her. After that, she's poking back. Not before she has a go at the Unknown Warrior, though. Unknown Ranger. So this is his data tracker, mind you, so an extremely important model. With me having cover and him not having cover, I'm ripping into him with the combi rifle. Kodali has a really big advantage here, but it is still a bit dangerous to go after the Unknown Ranger in case he gets lucky. What happens, though, is that after a few orders spent, she does take him down, which basically is the end of the game. There's nothing that he can really do to come back after that without the data tracker being there and a combined army basically in board control. So, again, Kodali sweeps up the Urmandino, SAS trooper, the heavy weapon in this Link Team, a Link Team member, and Unknown Ranger, and then just retreats. So that's just 5 kills right there. Ends up back behind this wall once the orders have been spent. I think earlier on the Avatar did pick somebody else off, and then the Speculo, I believe, just re-camos. Avatar, as you can see, has moved up just to get a bit of a kill. Noctifer revealing against his Urmandino when it becomes his turn. So we're into the Kosmoflot turn 1 now. The smoke does go down, so Noctifer is thwarted by that. He moves his other SAS trooper around to go after Kodali. She does manage to dodge out of his way back behind here. Unfortunately, that sets me up so that when he does come around, he's going to be able to potentially put down a template if my Speculo does reveal. But what ends up happening is we end up having a trade. I use my nanopulsar, he uses his chain rifle or his shotgun or whatever he's got, and both of these two models die, which is fine for me. Kodali's already taken out the heart of the Kosmoflot forces, ripped up 5 models, so trading right there is fine for me. Urmandino just finding a spot behind the building here with my HVTs on the other side. He's planning on going and nabbing a button a little bit later. Right, so go straight back to Combined Army turn 2 because very little that Kosmoflot can do. Avatar punching up the midfield, going all the way up here just to make sure that he can eliminate this SAS trooper who's hanging around. Because I think that he actually did survive the nanopulsar save when he engaged Kodali, but doesn't last much longer though because the Avatar is there to shred him. Then we pop out the Steldron, we go for the objective on my right, pressing the button. I decided to try to investigate the HVT that was closest to the Avatar on the right hand side, so on this side of the table. With everything going right for me so far, things continue to snowball and it turns out to be the correct HVT. Avatar is the data tracker, so just able to poke around, blow up this HVT with ease, and that, secures 5 objective points for me right there. So as you guys can see, really one-sided game. Just wanted to pick through it and be, thorough and completionist with this event reporting anyway. Avatar pulls back. Everybody else uses coordinated orders to go through the midfield, so we're moving out with, Caliban, Shrouded, Liberto's hanging around as well. Just going out to press some more buttons and to prevent him from doing anything. So everybody's setting up around here in the midfield towards the end of the turn. He then puts out a smoke grenade with his Urmandino, moving around, going through to grab one of the objectives. He's got very few orders, as you can see. So once he does manage to splash out enough smoke, he does go over there. Liberto trying to crack off a light shotgun in response, but doesn't manage to kill him. So he does manage to pick up one of these consoles that does reveal one of the HVTs, but not the correct one. and then it's back to me. So I've got my Shrouded moving up, pressing another one of the buttons, Caliban moving out, and eating up the other HVT in close combat with his Prithion, his D-charges, so that's pretty good for Mr. Caliban Engineer. Prithion, of course, stacking with D-charges, so if you crit, they're taking like 4 saves, you're getting quite a lot of wounds. I may have mentioned in my previous video that Shock will destroy a Caliban if it's gained a lot of wounds. Not quite accurate. It will destroy the Caliban if he ever enters unconscious state with Shock. But the thing is, if you go up to 3 wounds and then you go back down to 2 wounds from a Shock weapon, you won't die because you won't have been put into unconscious state. So everybody feeling happy right now. Right on the left-hand side, the Caliban's just snuck behind some stairs. Shrouded's just hanging out, prone behind a wall in the midfield. Kodali has died. The Speculos are right, and the Avatar's just hanging out over here. There's nothing in the Kosmoflot army that can threaten him here, so he's just sitting pretty behind the wall. We have a Paracommando or somebody like that comes on the side of the table. It does attempt to walk around here and shoot the designated target. Does get pounced on by everybody else, but that's the last attempt really to grab any points. I don't know if he even managed to do it. I think he might have taken it down, but my memory's a little bit hazy as to what specifically happened there. And over here we have the front of Vic trying to get something done, but there is nothing really for him to shoot that he can finish off. So a very quick game. Out of everybody in the tournament for round 1, we were finished first. It was just a quick and fast game. Nothing really that Kosmoflot could have done given that deployment. If he had really known what was in store for him with Kodali, he might have been able to deploy a little bit better. But it was a list mismatch. I don't see anything in this Kosmoflot list that really, has an advantage over that Avatar list. It's just a mismatch, really. If he had gone first, maybe he could have wrangled something, but I think there's so much of my army to defend. I don't see how he could have taken the Avatar down. I think maybe he should have tried running the Bear Pod list, but even then, there are ways of me putting out a screen for him and stopping him. But that would have been a bit of a better shot at it. Oh, okay, that was a lot of quick talking, guys. But anyway, that's the first look at Kosmoflot for N4. Hopefully I play some more Kosmoflot again, and hopefully they pick up some newer and better things. I haven't had a chance to study them, like I mentioned. Maybe we can find a few tricks and tactics for Kosmoflot, which bring them up to speed, but I somehow doubt that this sectorial is on the level that the Avatar is at the moment, because Avatar, one of the most overpowered and broken things in N4 at the moment. Happy to debate you on that, but is looking pretty strong. And as you guys can see, Kodali still oppressive and unfair. I don't think that she should just be able to shoot members of a Link team without them being able to delay. Now there's even fewer ways to stop her from pulling that off, and it's just a very safe and powerful way for Combined Army just to rip you to shreds. So I feel like she needs some nerfs, but we'll see. It's up to Corvus Belli, and see you guys in the next video.